costume can be quite comfortable. It can make you feel more beautiful. It can even make you look like someone else. But it's still you, so there's nothing you can do. Like a bad habit, the one you couldn't kick, there it always is. And it's nothing that no doctor's gonna fix. They pat your back, Bruce. Hang on to all little things. Hang on to all little things. One day I'll turn around, you won't be there. And all the times it seems so hard, it won't matter. Expectation can last forever, while a lifetime will slip through your fingers, come out from inside my head. Hang on to all the little things you love. Hang on to all the little things you love.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Person Behind the Pen. I am moving in robotic fashion and I'm a hot mess today. So, good thing we're having this discussion about mental health. Never mind, this one revolves around men, money, and of course, the way those affect their mental health. My name is Nick. I am a wife, a mom to a staffy foster. I navigate life with bipolar disorder. I love to garden. I love to cook. And yeah, I could have started with I'm a publisher. But that's not how I'm starting. And that's not how I'm going to start introducing these guys. Because when we show up on social media, very many times we show up as the professional first. And honestly, we're both. But as a man, as a woman, we're people with many roles. And that is where I want to focus today. I want to welcome everyone for joining us. I see so many friends out there already. Mary Kay, congratulations. I know that you're starting your own publishing imprint. How very exciting. Mary Kay was here last week speaking on ghostwriting. Catch that episode if you're interested in understanding the world of ghostwriting better. Jason Forehand, my man, my bro. Thank you so much for being here. Mark Holden, another co-author, has joined us. And I do believe that I saw earlier, I told you I'm a hot mess today. Joe is backstage, but Joe is here as well. Oh, and Gretchen. Gretchen, thank you so much for being here. I know you're a big fan of Trevor's. And Gretchen recently wrote in volume 2 of We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnosis. So, you know that I don't go long-winded in the introduction. I like to give the time to the guest. Just want to say Guiding Brilliant Writers has some really cool stuff coming down the pike, starting with next month, this anthology. October, we are going to be releasing our first leadership book by Desiree Goldley. We're also going to be releasing the Legacy Chronicles Volume 4, My Story is My Legacy, in November. And December, My Asian Parents. And these are writers ages 13 to 17. And there may just be another book coming or two. So we'll talk about that next episode. So with that, I'm going to start bringing the guys up. I am going to introduce them to you, not from a LinkedIn profile standpoint, not from their bio standpoint, but from the standpoint of how I met each of them and who I think of them as a person and why I connected with them. And without a doubt, why I feel that they were a perfect fit for this flagship book of Men, Money, and Mental Health. So first up, I am going to bring Trevor Martin. Hello, my friend, and how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing. As you heard, a little discombobulated today, but
Hey, aren't we
thank
all? You nailed it. You nailed it.
I humaned it. Um, Thank you so much for joining us. I know, like, this is dinner time for a lot of people. Well, depending on where you're at, or if you eat early or late. But Trevor is someone that I met because we co-authored in an anthology called Rattled Awake. Nope, Bullied. I lied.
Bullied, yeah. Yeah.
It was Bullied, but the same
Yep.
publisher was Rattled Awake. But that is how we met each other. And since then, of course, I've been trolling him, and I love his content. I love his very talented artwork. Fun fact, Trevor is the one that designed the illustration for our Men, Money, and Mental Health gear that goes along with this book. You might have seen that in one of the rather amateurish videos that Nick makes at the beginning of this. That says Mental Health Champion on the front, and the back is actually a pair of hands holding or breaking jeans, and it says breaking the stigma, owning my story, and that is what this is all about. So very excited about that as well. Trevor does some serious hardcore fundraising for kids with cancer. I have been fortunate to be in a position to support and wear some of those Bada shirts and hoodies. And in general, he's just a really stand-up guy. He's a very, this is what I'm thinking kind of guy, and he is not afraid to say it. And I feel that in his content. So check him out. Go check out his content. And all I can tell you, just be prepared, because that what I read from him the first time, it is going to take you down hard. All right. So I think I introed you enough. All right. Let's
You did a hell of a job. Thank you.
What's up? We're going to bring up Matthew Bourdain next. Matthew, are you joining us from the kitchen, sir?
I am always in the kitchen down here in Texas at the moment.
Look at that. So I love how this guy shows up to like of course the meet and greet and the draft discussion, and he's like in his chef shirt there, and yeah. So let's talk about how I met Matthew. Jason Forehand in the comments, you guys, if you know me, knows that I'm on the advisory board for HR4U. I do fundraising for them. This year we published the first cookbook for Transformation Kitchen together. And so Jason put us in touch with each other. Possible cookbook coming down maybe one day from Matthew. It depends. He's a pretty busy guy. So I fell in love with everything he does, because Matthew is not just about cooking. He is about food stability, food sustainability, and really and truly how that tracks through more than food on the table, where this actually starts. And I don't mean in somebody's garden. I mean on the edges of continents where people even have to find what they need to find in order to put it in the ground, kind of thing. This is real grassroots stuff. And, well, he's got quite a story. And so we'll put it there. And I especially appreciate that, I have to say this because I think it's rather funny. He posted something the other day with a 3-prong extension that was like really mangled. And he was like, who the hell did this? I had to reply. I had to say, listen, dude, like, my own looks like that sometimes, and it's because I'm too lazy and I pull it from the other room, from the socket by the cord. And I cracked up because he said to me, yeah, I do that shit too when I'm vacuuming. And to me, that was such a, not just such a human thing, but such a male kind of a thing, because that's so something. And yeah, I am stereotyping, but it's so something really a guy would do when they vacuum. And they really pull that cord. So as you see, it's more than just the publishing, right? I get to know my co-authors like on a different level, and I get to form some really good friendships. So, all right, next up, Joe Cullen. My man, how are you?
I am well. How are you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm my usual self, you know me. Cracking myself up, laughing at my own jokes. So thank you so much for being here. And wow, man, where do I even go with how I met you? Interesting. So I couldn't really tell you exactly where I met Joe. I just know somehow Joe ended up in my scope. I ended up in his scope. And almost a year later, when I said we're doing We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnosis Volume 2, Joe was the first one to jump up and say, I want to write in it. I'm like, dude, this was like a year later. So Joe is also diagnosed bipolar. We have had some really incredible conversations way outside of our work. And I've learned a lot about myself that I didn't realize was even there because I was able to connect with someone else that was bipolar, had similar experience, different experiences, and for different reasons, actually. When Men, Money, and Mental Health popped up, again, Joe was like, I'm in. And I know that both topics are dear to his heart. Joe, like me, has a very supportive partner. And that's something else that we have in common. So we also both happen to enjoy drinking copious amounts of coffee. I hope that this introduction, again, shows you these men in light of being men before anything else. And so I will leave that there. And I will say that I see all the comments. Sean Michael, another co-author out there in the audience. Thank you so much. My darling Jackie Halberg, probably one of, no, the biggest guiding brilliant writer supporter. I take that back. This woman has every book, every piece of gear, you name it. I see my friend, the drone gal out there, Leigh Chandel. Thank you so much for being here with us as well. Leigh's going to be doing some cool promo videos soon in 4D for us. All right, so let's start going around the horn. Trevor, we're going to start with you. Please take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself. Yes, I may have introduced you, but I'm pretty sure you know you better than me. So, all yours.
Oh, thank you, Nick. So excited to be here. My name is Trevor Martin. I will just kind of start off with what I do. So basically, I am the founder of Comic Threat, which is an art studio. So I spend a lot of my time drawing, spend a lot of my time dabbling in the arts. And a lot of it is basically to try to help other people. I believe that art is therapy. Art is therapy for myself. And so I believe that it can help others as well. So I try to use that talent to help not only obviously myself and my growth, but help others as well. I am married. I have a beautiful wife, Jamie, and 3 wonderful kids, Easton, Aubrey, and Charlie Quinn. And I am extremely excited and blessed to be here. Nick,
Wonderful.
you want me to keep going?
No, that would mean me having issues trying to unmute myself. But I see Matthew's having issues too. My internet's dragging all over the place, and his internet's obviously not being kind to him at moments. So we're good. We're good. You were on vacation recently, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were able to get here. And did you say Quinn? Why did I hear the name Quinn?
Yeah, Charlie is our youngest. Her middle name is Quinn. She's named after the comic book character Harley Quinn. So
I knew it. I'm sorry. That's what I hit on, and I didn't want to interrupt you. And oh my god, she's a pretty cool character. We should leave it at that. This is G for general viewing. So where am I going? Matthew, introduce yourself. 2 minutes. Introduce yourself.
So my internet is actually fine. It is just the failure as a chef to operate anything that has technology. And so every time I press a button or try to answer a question on the bottom here in this little blue box, and I close out of it, I close out of the whole box. So I cook some really good food, but if you ask me to operate a computer, it's kind of over here. With that being said, somehow I ended up on YouTube a minute ago, and you guys were all on there, which was great. But now I'm back where I'm supposed to be. The my story is I've spent probably the last 12 years making food systems my platform and trying to understand where food comes from and the people behind it. For a long time, I thought that we could change things if we talked to people about food or about sustainability, or we tried to engage them, with the things that are happening under the water or at the farms. And it only works for a little bit, is what I realized. And you can watch a million um, commercials with Sarah McLachlan playing and sad puppies, and it hasn't fixed the problem. The biggest thing that people relate to is when they see other people. And so when you can understand people from a human perspective, I think that a lot of times facilitates change and action. So what I've done over the past 3 years or so is really dove into telling a story of the people behind the food, and whether that is the farmer or the fisherman, a lot of that here domestically, but a lot of it overseas as well. And so working in places like Ghana and Rwanda and Vietnam, really getting off the grid and getting into places that people don't want to go, but really want to hear about. And so it's been exciting to take people to the lesser known places of the world. And what I learn everywhere I go is that people are starving for information, they're starving for food, they're starving for security. They all have the same human emotions as us, whether you're rich or poor, no matter where you are in this world, no matter you sleep on a bed or you sleep on the floor. And so I think that it's been really incredible to be able to look at food through a different lens. And that's kind of how I approached this book, is how can I tell stories through the things that I've learned on these journeys. And uh, I think it's changed me as a human more than I ever could have imagined.
Food is it's an essential for everyone's survival, right? And so when you think of ways that we could be connected, when you think of a way that there's no chance that we can't be connected, food is one of them. No matter where we are, we need to be nourished. And the stories that came out of your travels, I don't want to share too much, so we're just going to leave that there. Again, it's. I have been very privileged, let's just say, to read 10 chapters, 10 different men, 10 different walks of life. And if I thought that I was just going to understand men better and the way that they think about the mental health topics that I think about, oh, there's a lot more that they think about to tie mental health to, things that I honestly didn't think of. Matthew, thank you. Joe, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I am an advisor by trade. That's how I make my living right now. But my passion is in justice impacted and homeless people, and that's where I kind of spend my time these days. In this book, tied right into that, and a lot of the challenges, and I, just was really excited. But I'm excited to do this book. It's been a challenge, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit later. That the timing for me personally became very what's the word I'm looking for? Strange would be the best word I can think of right now. Because I went through my own little mental health episode right as I was starting into this chapter. So it provided a different level of not spin, but you know, insight, because last week I ended up rewriting the whole thing basically after Nick and I went through and looked at the
Sorry.
it was I said, when I sent it to her, I apologized in advance because that the first copy was basically 2.5 chapters long. I wrote it in a manic state and just was like, it just kept going. And but I've got 35 years of professional and corporate experience starting running companies. And I also have my own legal challenges and different things. So, I'm just excited to participate. And, when Nick shared the title of this book, Men, Money, and Mental Health, I'm like, well, I got to be a part of that. So here I am.
Glad to have you. I'm glad to have all of the guys. I always feel, and I think that you guys know this about me, because I probably reached out to each one of you to ask if you want to be in the book, except Joe. Joe's seen but I am not a hard sell, because I honestly believe project's meant for you. You're going to say yes. The end. So you guys are here because you were meant to be here, because you chose to say yes to this. I had a couple of questions prepared, but you know me, when do I ever follow process? I always walk across the lawn. So we'll go with Trevor again, then we're going to go with Matthew, we're going to go with Joe. And so I have a question for you guys. Trevor, you've published before, not just nonfiction. You've done comic books, you've done other things. Matthew, I don't believe you've published before, but you love to write. And Joe, you have also published before, but more type of business leadership books. So I'm going to ask each of you, what was your greatest challenge writing for this book? What was your greatest challenge writing for this book personally? And did you come out of it at the end writing, and maybe even going through your one-on-one with me, reading the chapter back to you? Do you feel that you discovered anything about yourself during that period, or even anything more that you had not considered that would be tied into your mental health kind of thing? Trevor? Big question.
Okay, so first part of that, make it not so raw. So the biggest challenge was making sure I kind of dialed back a little bit, because as I start to write, as I start to get in my emotions, as I start to tap into that rawness, I can go pretty deep, and to the point where it can be a shock to an individual reading, right? And so for me, the biggest challenge is, okay, I want to reach the audience. I want to drive home a message here, but I don't want to go overboard. I don't want to cross any line. So for me, the biggest challenge was to make sure that I kept it pretty even keel. Went a little bit raw, but not too. And then to the second part of your question, learning, what did I learn about myself? I'll tell you, I need more help. And what I mean by that is I need more brothers. I need more men in my life that I can lean on, that I can trust, that I can talk to, that I can surround myself with, right? So that was something that I learned through this whole process. Matthew, I will tell you this. There's a couple of times I almost, and I'm going to after this, I'm going to text you, but I almost reached out to you after I read some of what you wrote, and because just some of your journey, and I'm like, holy hell, like that, like it moved me. So, anyways, just I'll be reaching out. But yeah, that's to answer your question. There you go.
I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of times when people think about writing, even if they've written before, right, they do ask themselves that question: how deep do I want to go? At what point do I think that I may actually lose the reader, because it's too much, it's too heavy, it's too deep, it's bringing up emotions in them that they're maybe not ready to deal with. And you're very diplomatic, I will say this, in your writing. However, while he may have made sure to not mince his words too much, he did put a very strong message out there. And
Thank you.
with all of the chapters, I think This is not a book that you're going to want to keep turning the pages and reading, but you're not going to. You're going to, after every chapter, need to shut that book and sit down and marinate with that story, because that's the depth of these stories. I could not edit more than one a day. In fact, I had to give days in between sometimes before I could sit and edit one, because I was sitting with it. And I was sharing bits of it with my husband, who's also writing, who's the first time writing. And so this is a very daunting experience for him, right? The part you shared about what you learned about needing brotherhood. Yes, this tends to happen in this type of collaborative books. All have had men and women before. This one is specifically designed for men. And what I've seen, like I've seen today when I did my read through with Sean Michael, he told me he had a great conversation with Joe Cullen. So there are conversations happening outside of this project that were triggered because of the project that will go on long after this project has died down. So I really appreciate what you said about, Matthew, and having read some of his story and feeling a connection that you needed to reach out on some level to talk to him. So thank you so much, Trevor, for sharing that. Matthew, do you remember the questions? What
I
was
do.
Oh, there we go.
I do. I think, Trevor, you're probably my balance then, because I was fairly raw and didn't dial it back. And so if you feel like mine is too raw, then you can always bounce back and forth between Trevor and I. But I definitely, what I learned, I think, was that I need to write it all. And so I think that in my head, I've been experiencing these stories and going through life and sharing these stories in speeches and on stages and through social. And what I realized is when I wrote it down, it actually resonated that I lived it. And so I've always lived these experiences in my life as stories, and in writing them down, I lived it as myself. And so hearing you read it back, and I've had it read back to me a couple times. The first time I had it read back to me, I was quite emotional, um, and found myself kind of taken back at that was my life, and that I had lived through those experiences. Because again, many of them were very, very raw and very, very real. And I think I've compartmentalized them as just stories, as things that I need to share, as opportunities to help other people grow. But I've never lived them as myself. Um, is similar to Trevor. I think, my biggest takeaway is that being able to have this group of men realizing that they're out there, um, and there's not one single story in this anthology that's the same, but the basis for it and the raw emotion in it is all real. And so I think that there's so many people going through it, and that's what's going to be so powerful about this book, is that there's something in it for everybody, right? Something is going to speak to everybody. And it's pretty epic. So just like to be part of it.
Thank you for sharing. And yes, I agree. While there is a common thread in terms of the theme, I did not expect such a vast variety of stories. Um, the backgrounds are all over the place, and how mental health is viewed by each of you, when it started, what shaped that. I mean, all sorts of things. Um, I feel like in your case, when we did the read through, and like you said, you are actually witnessing your own journey by writing it. Like you lived it passed through your head and everything else. And you could sit down and recall parts and share parts and a post there or whatnot. But because so much of it was in one place and it ain't even scratching the surface of it, in that reading, you were able to, as a bystander, witness what you lived. Right? And there is one part that I will share about Matthews that really broke me. And it was about a young boy, being a boy, climbing a tree, and he got hurt. And Matthew walked a boy to a nearby hospital, and he walked a dead body back. that kind of thing puts a lot into perspective. Um, so that was, I just want to share that there. Matthew, just thank you for saying yes to this. I know you're traveling all over the place all the time, and you've been in, places where we're trying to do this, and you're on your phone, and you got people walking in and out of the kitchen and all sorts of stuff. But it's obvious that this meant a lot to you. And so no matter what you had to do, you made it happen. And you made it happen first for yourself, and now you're going to make it happen for a lot of people out there who are going to read this. So thank you. Joe. Hi.
I don't know, got a little choked up listening to both Trevor and Matthew talk about their journey, and just thinking about how this came together for me, and the excitement, then the basically, as Matthew said, the mind dump of my whole story, and going deep, and then wondering, like Trevor, if it was too deep, um, and then just thinking about a couple of the stories that were in there, and now in that fear of, am I sharing too much? I mean, most of what's in there I share on my socials pretty regularly, at different points, but um, it was a challenge to really gather that back in, and try to bring something to bear that is worthy of what this book is. And so that was kind of my challenge, was really kind of finding that balance of both sharing enough to grab the reader, but yet not destroy the the work that I've done over the last several years to kind of find my authentic voice, and understand the things that I've been through, and what's happened, and where I'm at. So it's been an interesting journey, and um, you know, Trevor knows, that the same thing that he said about needing men is something that resonated with me as well. And there's another project that Trevor's involved in that I'm really excited about participating in as well. So
I'm jealous.
there
Green,
you
I'm
go.
jealous.
So, but yeah, it's so I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up soon. End of next month, I guess. So, yeah, that was another one that I jumped in as soon as I heard what it was, and Candace, is somebody that I
It's all
respect
around this
and
as
admire.
well.
So,
The timing was very interesting of how these landed. Um, Joe, was there anything that you felt you discovered about yourself that, mental health wise, perhaps, even writing wise, that you didn't really know before you started this journey of writing this chapter?
the really, it was, I think, understanding that you're never fully in control of a mental health issue. Um, I had years of being stable, and being, in a position where I felt strong, and felt that I could go through life, and then, due to some extenuating circumstances, I found myself in a position where I had one of the worst manic episodes I've had in over a decade. And the fallout from that has been kind of immense. So putting that in perspective while writing this chapter kind of, I don't know if it necessarily taught, but it definitely reinforced the lesson that, you know, you can measure, you can monitor, and you can, you know, be as diligent as you can be and still be at risk of an episode. So that was, I think, for me, kind of the lesson number one out of the chapter.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Trevor touched on, right? He learned through this experience that he still needs help. You learn that you really are never in control. Did you know I used to have a show called Nick Never in Control? And it was taking back control by letting go of control, because we don't have control of a lot of things, right? And that's probably where the madness starts, with us trying to control everything. Um, I want to acknowledge a few of the people here. Not even a few, man. There's so many there. Christy, I want to say hi to you. Thank you so much for being here. I think there was a chef, Gregory. I don't know if he's connected to Jason and Matthew, perhaps. He's out there in the comments as well. My Aussie bro, Timothy Gleason, up in the house. Thank you so much. GBW Publishing is a big fan, and we like to support Timothy's various fundraisers. One of them is actually for suicide awareness. Felipe Cofino there in the comments is the one that's writing the foreword for this book. He will be in the fourth of this four-part series with my husband and myself. So over the next 4 weeks, we have a show every Tuesday at 6 p.m. so you can meet the various co-authors. And I want to say hi to William Rochelle out there as well. So again, thank you, Miss Natalie Thomas. It's so nice to see you here. I believe Natalie hails from Trinidad, like myself. If I missed you, I will certainly get back to the comments. Lisa Favek, my other Trini girl, up in the house. So great to see everyone. Lots of people joining us, and we really appreciate the support and you helping us to continue to get the word out there about this movement, because this is the flagship book. And I hope that when we come back around next year in volume 2, that some of these guys here will actually be ARC readers for this. So I am going to take this now to a place where I want to say this. Trevor, you have a daughter. Okay. I don't know what male relatives you have in your family that are younger than you, cousin, a nephew, somewhere, right? But let's say a few generations down the line, even say your daughter has a son. What around this do you want that individual to know about their relative, you, in this space of time in your life, and how what you have learned, what you have shared in this chapter could continue to, or could create a bridge almost between you and them, no matter what generation they're in.
Well, that's easy actually. It's people matter. You put people first. I know that's really sounds really simple, but I lived a lot of my life where I put me first, and I didn't put people first. And so I would say through all of this whole entire process. I mean, and just the art and the writing, all of it. But all you really have, and you're hearing it tonight. All you really have is the person to the left and to the right of you. That's it. That's what you know. That's what you know is real. That's the reality, is we have each other. And we spend so much time trying to destroy each other. It's ridiculous. So if I could pass anything down, or if I could just you, what you have is right in front of you, and it's absolutely glorious. The element of life, human essence, that is just a wonderful, beautiful thing, and we spend way too much time trying to destroy it rather than embrace one another. And so, my message to anybody, or family, future, now, current state, is just look to the left, look to the right, and do what you can to love, to bring support to those around you. And you're seeing that happen in certain circles like this, and that's where the change is. That's what matters. That's what's going to make the movement. Matthew was talking about some of the things that, like, hey, I tried to go look here and I tried to go look there, hoping that, he talked about the videos you can watch. You can only watch that for so long, and then it's just superficial bullshit, right? You just have to come to a point where we realize that, holy hell, we're actually all here together, and we're all in this together, and everybody matters. So that's it.
Love it. Burn the white flag, no surrender. Right? From now till thy kingdom come, mental health will always be relevant, because mental health is being human. And what we face ain't going to change. Some of how we face it might change a little bit because of all the things coming down the pike. But at the basis, certain things are always going to be there. And hearing it externally is great. Shows like this is wonderful. People hear connection to different strangers. But it's a funny thing when I say, and a lot of people feel this way, most of my family don't know what I really do. They probably haven't read most of the stories I've written. They, don't know the impact that I make. But one day they will. One day somebody along the way will. The grandson, if my kid ever gets married, or somebody, and that's why I asked that question. Matthew, before we jump to Joe, just giving you the biggest virtual hug. You are like among family. I feel all my writers end up being part of the GPW publishing family. And it's not like you're writers family, you're just family. You're like people family, right? At the end of the day, no story, no people, no stories, no stories, no books. It always comes back to the people. So we got you. Matthew, are you good with the question?
I am, yeah. I think, for me, it's, I would hope that people take away the power of one person, right? Like my whole life, I've gone through this process of understanding, like, yeah, I'm just a small piece of the puzzle, which is true. You're very small in the grand scheme of things. But the ability to make a difference, the ability to start something that causes a chain reaction as a human being is incredible. And the ability to will your own fate and your own future and your own positivity cannot be stated enough. And so I do think that part of this story is that people understand that you can create your own fate, you can change, you can be different. And of all the things, when it all boils down, it's just like Trevor said, be a good human. Like there's so many shitty humans in the world. Like we just need more good humans. And so I hope that 30 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people go, hey, he was a good human, and he inspired other people to be good humans. And if that's the best they say, then it's more than most of us deserve, because being a good human is a pretty cool thing. So
So very well said. I often think to myself in those last 5 minutes, if I'm able to have those last 5 minutes go, in my head, and still be present, what would I be thinking? Who would I be thinking of? And what it is that I hope that I left in those people. Because whatever I leave for people could come and go. It could get squandered, it could get eaten, it could many things. But what I leave in them, I hope that they in turn gives to somebody else. And I really do feel like you have to write your story. Otherwise, somebody's going to tell your story, and they may not get all the facts right. So you get it out the way you need to get it out. And yeah, essentially, what is good, and that definition is very different for different people, right? You pull together to do something like this, and I'll touch on one voice can reach many, many can reach the masses, and it starts with you reaching many. And then an anthology like this with 10 writers, that's more, that reaches more people, and so forth, right? It amplifies, the message amplifies when we come together like this to do things like this. Joe, are you up to chatting?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good. Let's go.
How are you with the question? You know, is that
I have no idea what the question really was. So
okay?
sorry.
So
It's you know, the one thing that I got out of the whole thing was be a good human, from Trevor and Matthew. And just aside my last day and a half's rant on LinkedIn about hostile architecture and not being good humans. So anyway,
you have some examples. Um, so first of all, if somebody's trying to apply for a job with Matthew. Second of all, I'll give you guys to think about this as we go back around horn. Somebody did ask in the comments if each of you would be willing to give a synopsis of your chapter, which I'm quite okay with that. Just so they have an idea of what's coming from each of you. And so Joe, the question was, uh, future male relative, maybe you never meet. You know, what do you like if you could impart from them? Let's say they were to pick this chapter up and read it, right? What do you want them to know that you know now about mental health that would bridge the years, the generations?
wow.
Heavy
I
question.
think I think the biggest thing that I would hope comes across is that each and every one of us, whether diagnosed, whether it's a little or a lot, faces a challenge almost daily of some kind. And it may be mental health, it may just be, there's not enough zeros in the checkbook to pay the rent. So, we never know what each other's going through, and when people read my chapter and somebody, if it's in my family down the road, I would hope that they would see that success, community position, uh, the appearances that we put forward don't guarantee that there won't be pain, there won't be challenges, and that you know mental health is a real issue, and most men will not talk about it.
Well said. Um, I left you guys with whether or not you felt you wanted to share a synopsis of your chapter. I will leave that completely up to you. Um, if my lovely internet would do its thing and allow me to open my notes, I do have excerpts that I saved from every single person's chapter that hit me hard that I wanted to share and that I would roll out as the next few weeks go by. I will look for those while I put you all on the spot and ask if you would like to take a minute to share with the audience about your chapter. And I will also say that I am trying to acknowledge all the comments, and I'm sorry if I can't. But Motion, thank you for joining us from Dubai. And Meryl, my neighbor over there in New Jersey, thank you so much for being here as well. Um, Kelly Cycle, thank you as well for being here. I know I see you sometimes on Leslie's Mind Over Matter Mondays. Liana is also here with us. She's going to be writing in Legacy this year. I'm scrolling. My touchscreen is great. My internet is not. All right. Hope I didn't miss anyone. You are appreciated. Okay. You being here makes you part of the movement. Just your presence. Okay. So Trevor, Matthew, Joe, anybody want to just go right out there and talk a little bit about your chapter and what the story is about? Or we can go in the order we were going. That's fine too.
Yeah, no problem. What I'm actually going to do is give me 1 second. There's a there's a section in my chapter that kind of really sums it up. So I focused more on the mental health side. So I'm going to read a small little section. A man can tell himself that his worth is not determined by money, but when everybody around him depends on what he brings home, money begins feeling inseparable from love. He starts believing his place in the family exists because of what he provides. He may never say it aloud, but the fear settles inside him. Would they still respect me if I lost everything? Would they still need me? Would they still love me? When a man has already learned that love must be earned, financial pressure does not remain financial. It becomes emotional, even spiritual. Losing money feels like losing identity. Career setbacks feel like personal exposure. And professional rejection feels like every bully from childhood has returned to remind him who he really is. I became good at carrying pressure, or at least that was how it appeared. Well, I was not prepared for this. It could work. I could work through exhaustion. I could walk into a room with confidence while privately questioning everything about myself. I could lead people, develop plans, give advice, and speak about strength while feeling as though my own foundation was cracking beneath me. That is another truth people do not like discussing. Sometimes the man helping everyone else is using their problems to avoid his own. Sometimes leadership becomes camouflage. Sometimes confidence is a survival skill. Sometimes the loudest, strongest, most driven man in the room is fighting desperately to keep the silence from swallowing him. And that's a little piece of my chapter, and mine's focusing on mental health stemming from just childhood bullying, etc. Matthew, your turn.
Well, wait. I gotta say crazy, because if I could take a screenshot of what's on my documents right now, that is one of them. It started there. And so before we jump off to Matthew, I will share this that I kept from Trevor's chapter. The problem with using success to silence shame is that success never stays successful for long. That line hit me hard. So, Trevor, thank you. Matthew, you can go, or I could share a piece from mine. Your call.
I'll just sum it up a little bit, and then you can share a piece. Yeah, I mean, for me, well, first off, Trevor, I haven't read any of yours, but now I want to, because I feel like you are describing me, and so that was a little too close to home. And seeing that, you getting choked up reading your own words, I think that's exactly how I felt when I heard mine. And so it's that moment, that emotion, that I think is going to resonate through this entire book, that I would love to just be a fly on the wall and watch a stranger read this book and see how they react, because I think there's so many moments and so many people's stories that are going to speak to them, and whether it's a mental health breakdown or a childhood bully, or seeing poverty for the first time in a real way. Like, there's so many things that are something's going to grab you somewhere in this book. And so my chapter is about kind of how the world made me a man, and how I thought that I was when I grew up. And I thought that getting a job and having money and having all the things I ever wanted, and achieving success is what that meant. And then I realized that it was so much different. And so I think that it's going to be crazy to read this book, and you think that each one's a chapter, but I bet if you read it end to end, it would actually feel like a story. And so it's going to be pretty cool. But I will let you share a piece, because I'm interested to see what you picked.
Okay. All right, let me get to my Matthew part. Hang on 1 second. Like, I have something from everybody, so I believe money has a remarkable ability to disguise exploitation as opportunity if you're standing far enough away from the people paying the ultimate price. Another is, men have an extraordinary ability to convince themselves that breaking is somehow noble as long as it happens quietly. Those are two of the things that I noted from yours. They weren't all long things that I noted from anyone. They were just the things that flew out at me that I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Do you want to say anything to those two that I shared?
I think as an overall chapter, right? Like, those are lessons that I've taken. And so the amazing part of my life lesson is that I was a really terrible student, in school and in a classroom setting. And so I learned everything I've learned through experience and through life. And I've learned a lot of it the hard way. And I think every time the path said easy, I wanted to go easy, and somehow I took the wrong road. And so all these lessons I share from an experiential perspective throughout these chapter. And it was really personal and really, really incredible to write. So I'm thankful to you and to this group for getting us together, because it's pretty cool, and I can't wait to read all of it in one place.
Absolute pleasure. Joe, what about yourself?
I'm going to kind of piggyback off of Trevor's and move to just a little segment that I wrote in mine, and it basically coming out of money and how those things handle. But you know, the consequences did not belong to me alone. Money has a way of entering relationships even when no one wants it there. Financial security does not create a healthy marriage, and financial struggle does not necessarily destroy one, but both change the environment in which a relationship has to function. When money disappears, decisions that once required almost no discussion suddenly carry real emotional weight. Children feel those changes too. They may not understand the numbers, they do not need to. Children understand tension. They understand when the answer that used to be yes becomes no. They understand when adults are worried, even when those adults believe they are hiding it. For a father who has tied part of his identity to providing, those moments can be brutal.
You know, I wonder if the audience realizes the difference in the writing, the storytelling, the angles, but there is no way that they cannot see that they're interconnected. And at the end of the day, the vision for a book like this is to help people not just witness your story, but witness their own through walking in your shoes, because there are parts of your journey they're going to walk in, and they know they have walked it before, even if they can't admit to themselves that they walked that path. Joe, I don't know what to share or not to share because Joe has rewritten his chapter. So this is going to be interesting. I will be rereading a rewritten chapter tomorrow. We did start a couple minutes late. We know I'm a minute over, and I do not like to go over. It's just been an interesting conversation. It's been a heartfelt conversation. It's been a kind of an in-your-face conversation, right? I don't think men generally are terribly comfortable discussing their emotions, even with people they care about that are close to them. Far less for doing it on a platform like this, where you don't know where this is going to go. Somebody might end up seeing this on YouTube and be like, I knew you from 20 years ago and I saw this, right? It takes not even a certain depth of courage, but a certain depth of ownership of you, the person, in a place that nobody else sees, to be able to sit up here and do something like this. And what I hear from all of you is the same thing: the work is never done. So the fact that you know that work needs to be done, and know that you will continue to do it, and that there are others behind you on the journey and ahead of you on the journey that you want to reach back and pull forward, that is what this book is. It is not a handout, it is a hand up, like we would say about Transformation Kitchen. And I want to thank each of you from the bottom of my heart for saying yes to the book, for trusting me to spearhead such an important project with you. And if there is anything that anybody in my audience can do to help you in any way to further what you have to say on mental health, please reach out to them. I put them on the spot. They're used to me doing that every week. They're here because they believe in the mission and they believe in each of you. All right, so with that, I'm going to bring them off stage and I'm going to say good night, guys. I'll see you in just a minute. I'm such a chatterbox. Do you know what a chatterbox is? In Trinidad, we call that somebody that doesn't shut up. And after this, I'm going to go talk to my husband, and he's going to be like, I just heard you from the living room for a whole hour talking. But believe it or not, me being as talkative as I am, I think over the years has drawn him out of his shell to talk more. And I want to end by asking him to be a part of this project, and him having met some of the guys already on a couple of the Zooms, and where this is heading. I always walk away as a publisher with so many gifts. It means so much to know that I am working away with a gift, actually, of being able to understand my husband on a level that maybe even in the closest and happiest of marriages, you don't always go. I think that the men in this book willing to talk about their stories as openly as they did, and in the Zoom to welcome him the way that they did, has already started to show small shifts. And I wanted to share that because I think it was important. So thank you for supporting Guiding Brilliant Writers and our mission to keep publishing stigma-breaking anthologies. Your support is not just in the purchase of a book or a piece of gear. It is being here in moments like this to witness the individual when they are actually telling you their story. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and join us again next week. We're going to have 3 more authors on with us, and we can't wait to carry on the conversation. Let us end some stigmas. Good night.